We all thought this case was pretty corrupt, but there's some huge news, a huge bombshell that just came out dealing with the Trump case. Not only that, something that is pretty startling is that Biden just edged out Trump in some of the latest polls. Do polls matter? Let's talk about some of these things today. Also, Trump gained some huge support out of areas that he typically wouldn't. Let's talk about it today. Hey guys, welcome to The Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new to the channel, go down here, subscribe, so that way you'll be in the know when something comes out and our new videos come out each and every day. We've been a little held down, so when you give us a thumbs up, you subscribe, you comment, it helps us share our message across this platform. Our goal is to look at everything in a common sense approach, in a way that we can gain wisdom, but also see a conservative, spiritual look at things. And that way we can be prepared and know what's coming on the horizon. Like today, let's talk about this Trump trial. Now, two things. I guess I don't want to be so nuanced, but I don't want to have so much positivity that I forget the negativity. I just think we need some realism. So this comes out that a juror and a cousin of the juror released that they already knew the verdict was going to be guilty prior to the actual release, meaning that's juror misconduct. Traditionally, that would mean a mistrial, and of course everybody's ecstatic about that, and I think that's a good reason to be ecstatic by. Now here's the thing. If they all of a sudden try to retry Trump on the same situation, what happens? This judge is going to put another gag order on him. So with what he's got going on right now, everyone knows it was a sham trial. Yes, it will go to appeals and probably lose at the appeals, or he will gain access to the Supreme Court and lose there. So Trump comes out a winner. However, he has no gag now. He can pretty much speak, and once he gets sentencing, he'll be able to speak freely about the trial. Two things I think that's happening, that this judge, even though this is a misstep in the situation with Trump conviction, this judge could still use this. He could use this to retry Trump. He could also use this if Trump says, well, you know, we know it's a sham now, we know it's going to be mistried, and before the sentencing, Trump starts releasing all this information and he abuses the gag order, which will make the judge still use some kind of lawfare against him. So I think it's a good thing. I do. I think it's a really good thing. I think it should be a mistrial. The thing is, it should be thrown out completely, not retried, not have another jury come in, and not offer another gag order to start another trial. So every trial, if this one goes into a true mistrial and it goes out, that's probably the best news Trump could have, because ultimately that was really the last case that was kind of hanging over his head before election. Now, will they stop at nothing to get this man? Absolutely. I believe that they will do everything they can to stop him, even if it be a new pandemic or if it be a war. I honestly believe they'll do all they can to stop him. So I'm anxious to see what's going to actually come out of this. The crooked judge had already come out and said that this had happened. So now let's see what he plans to do. What happens this week will really set the precedent for what's coming up. You're either going to have mistrial completely thrown out, Trump walks and gets away from everything. Of course, it cost him a lot of legal fees. Secondly, I'm scared that they're going to do a mistrial, try to retry him, and then put him back under a gag order. Both of those things in reality could happen just this week. So pay attention to this case. Do not watch mainstream media on it. Check some of the independent journalists covering, because you're going to have spin from the mainstream, but ultimately this could be a good thing. I'm worried about this judge. I'm worried about the politics behind it, and I'm worried about what else they can throw at him. The Fannie Atlanta case is getting thrown out. It's pretty much destroyed. It's not going anywhere. The Florida case, same way. I think it's going to be this case where if he gets out of this one, he'll be in good shape rolling into the election. Now, here's another thing that kind of scares me. New numbers come out, and now this is a left-leaning poll, but does polls matter? And does it help motivate people to go to the polls, or does it say, well, all hope is lost? A lot of top-tier establishment Republicans who are kind of like the Chris Christies and even the Lincoln Project, some of those rhinos are saying Trump should drop out, because this is showing he got hurt in the conviction, he's a felon now, and then all of a sudden, even if they throw it out, Biden's winning in the polls. Yahoo report just came out saying that Biden is now pulling ahead of Trump. Now, there's no way you can actually believe that, but that is what the polls are stating. Now, the thing is, when they poll and they survey, they're doing just a small amount of audience. It's kind of like CNN doing a poll of their audience. I doubt Trump would win. It's going to be Biden leaning. Same way if you did a conservative poll on my station, you would say that Trump would win by 95%, even though, that's not true. So I think that we have to watch these polls and be very conscientious of them. Here's the thing though, polls do attract people and they do skew the numbers towards one of the parties or not. Because most people, even in majority, even though people like Joe Rogan and PBD and all these other podcasters, people still listen to legacy media, and they can help skew these numbers and try to say, well, look, Biden is winning now. Biden's doing good. For some people, maybe 5 or 10% of the populace would say, oh, well, it's over. We might as well just vote for Biden or not vote. That would traditionally go for Trump. So we have to be very wary of these polls. I don't believe polls that show Trump's up crazy or polls that show Trump down a lot or Biden up or Biden down same way. I think you have to be very careful because they can use those as motivating tools, or they can use those as, well, here's the truth and we're going to spin it and skew it like we want it to. This is a true poll. However, it may be led by a Democratic-led party or a Republican party. This could be a big deal though. So pay attention, because polls are used to skew people to either be disingenuous, meaning I don't want them to vote, or to motivate a certain base. And I wouldn't pay attention to the polling. Here's what I'd pay attention to. Pay attention to what individual states are doing. Pay attention to what the rallies look like. Pay attention to the motivation behind these candidacies. For instance, Biden has been pushing his jobs and how he's brought 15 million jobs to America. If you look at it, again, there you go, the talking point, and even mainstream media is pushing that too. Well, Biden's doing great in the economy. Stock market's doing good. Jobs are coming back. The key is, though, it's actually the second and third job. People are getting more part-time jobs because they can't afford to live. And actually, for the American, look at the last month. The American numbers of jobs, actually, their unemployment claims went up. The migrant claims went down, meaning there was more migrants put to work than Americans based on percentages this last month. So that's something that nobody's talking about. Biden's tooting the fact that he is, getting jobs. Well, it's actually Americans are having to pick up second and third time jobs like part-time work as migrants are starting to take some of those jobs. And actually the jobless numbers for Americans went up. They need more full-time money because they cannot survive in this economy. And again, about the bad economy, Biden is doubling down on the fact of EV marketing, meaning he is cutting the funding subsidies for automotives in the gasoline, petroleum-based cars. We're looking at EV marketing. So that's telling you that your car will be obsolete and you will have to purchase an EV style car, which is ultimately funded no matter what. The technology is a Chinese, is from China. So we're going to have to import a lot of that batteries and lithium and a lot of those natural resources to make these cars. So you're not building Americans jobs up, you're actually building jobs that are not actually going to benefit Americans. So these unions and these automotive unions, they should really look at what Biden is doing to some of that. Even though he's talking big about the economy, he's actually destroying their jobs at the same time. It's just nobody's fact checking him. Another thing, Silicon Valley, these billionaires are uber liberal. Most of them lean completely leftist because, to be honest with you, they just want to stay out of it and leave me alone. I'm going to make billions. But some of the biggest ones, some of the biggest venture capitalists over there, David Sachs being one of them, he's part of the All In podcast, but a venture capitalist over in Silicon Valley, just came out in full support, actually did a monster kind of gala for him or fundraiser event, made $12 million, and I think that's pretty good haul, and most of the tickets were like $300,000 to $500,000 a piece, something that most Americans can't afford. Now, did I say that matters compared to their vote versus anyone else's? No. But when you pick up people from Silicon Valley, and like for instance, he's fixing to do an interview with Elon. There's some little stories coming around that Elon is helping Trump maybe get some information on some of the business and technical side of the economy. So if you see Trump kind of working with some of these big technological giants, I think it helps not skew what we dealt with in 2020 so much when Twitter shut Trump down, when all of a sudden Trump didn't have another platform, all of a sudden all these tech billionaires were for Biden because they wanted a professional in the White House. Well, I think most of them are starting to wake up, which they're billionaires. I can't understand how in the world they would have supported Biden in the first place. But what they're realizing now is, wait, we actually had it a lot better then under Trump. So if he can get some of these bigger players behind him, not for money, not for trying to get biases, and this is where I say I don't want bought off politicians, but they hold a big part of the market. Think of what you do when you look on your social media platforms, how much information you're taking in. That could either be from the left, the right, or it can be for pure, entertainment. But ultimately, when you're bringing some of these people in, that can help not pull or biases one way. It would help balance out what, for instance, Facebook. We know it's not balanced, but some of these others may come around and be balanced because some of these Silicon Valley people are starting to realize, wow, we cannot have another few years of Biden. For one thing, don't talk about the issues, our money. We want to make sure our money is safe. They're making billions in the stock market, but they don't want to see sacrificing of war and what that means for the economy. So I do like that some of these people that really are going to probably lose a lot of friendships by making these statements of support. Like David Sachs, he's known to be a little center-right compared to some of the other ones over there. But to be honest with you, he probably lost a lot of his Silicon buddies who are not willing to stand with him. But I'm glad he stood up. That's what we need. We need more, even though I'm not I don't like hip-hop or rap, I like that 50 Cent is upstanding saying he's going to vote for Trump. I like to see some of these bigger businessmen and some of these entertainers say, I'm going to support Trump. Dennis Quaid came out and said, even though he's an older actor, he said, it's not that I'm a huge supporter of Trump, but he is the best option there. Hey, we'll take it. And that's where we have to get to a point where I'm hoping to see more people willing to stand and say, this is how I feel. And I think it's great because these trials, like for instance, we were just talking about, that's actually helping Trump because everybody is seeing the double standard. Most of these big businesses have businesses all over each state, and they're saying, well, look, man, Elon, they're holding their money in Delaware. Trump is getting unfairly treated in New York. Why do we want to go into some of these leftist areas in a Democratic-led AG to where we can be attacked by just being businessmen because we are part of the opposition? So I think they're starting to wake up and see this is not the right way. There's another story, and we're not going to talk about it today, but the weaponization of AG under a Democrat-led who says he's for democracy, but they're using it to weaponize. One of the biggest groups in medical pediatrics came out and said that therapy and all this transitioning for kids is wrong. Now, to be honest with you, the government will go after them. There was a doctor that also exposed it and brought it out even more of what was happening. FBI just raided him in his office. So we're seeing weaponization, and when we see that weaponization, I think it's actually benefiting Trump. Not only benefiting Trump, most of these people who are centrist, independents, even some on the liberal side, not leftist side, but liberal side, where they just want freedom, but just don't have the conservative lean like we do, they're starting to say, you know what? I know Trump's a little bombastic, but actually he's the best choice. So I'm glad to see people standing up for him. So wrapping up, Trump did get good news with this mistrial. However, it could come back and bite him. He's got to be careful, and really, I hope he's got a team of lawyers working around the clock to say, what is the best option from here on out? Let's put 10 people together in a room and let's say, okay, we could do this, we could do this. No, we can't do that. Let's work together. Secondly, we have to see that these polls are completely skewed. No matter if they're good or bad, don't let that motivate you one way or the other or disinterest you, especially when you have politicians saying they want to get rid of Trump and we need a new Republican. We need a new Republican to lead us for the election. That's not going to happen, but that's going to make problems in the party, and I think that could be dangerous. And then thirdly, I love seeing these people stand up and actually support, even at the fact that it may cost them money, even at the fact that it may cost them friends. I think of Elon and how he was the darling of the left, and now they hate him because of Twitter. All he did was just basically make a free platform. So we need more people standing up and supporting Trump, especially if it's the people that have influence. That's what will make a difference. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think about this video and this bombshell report. The thing is, I don't know if it's so good or if it could be used as another ploy. We soon shall see. God bless.